Hi everybody, Mike Brown back with you with another lesson in Adobe Photoshop Elements from Educator.com. In a previous lesson, we explored the basic selection tools in Photoshop Elements, showed you how each one works basically, and how to add and subtract from basic selections. In this lesson, we're going to take it further, and I'm going to show you how to make efficient and flawless selections with those basic selection tools, and we're going to explore the property called feather, a vitally important property to make sure that you get flawless blends when you make selected areas and correct within them. We're going to define what it is, an example of how and why to use it, and then I have part 2 here. We're going to demonstrate making selections using feather and adding and subtracting. And make a mistake, keep going. If you're making a selection and you make a mistake, don't go back and start again. It'll take too much time. Just keep going and we'll come back and fix it. It's very easy to correct things, and that will allow you to make quick and efficient selections. So let's start by talking about what is feather. Feather is the width. Let's just go ahead and get this. Feather is the width and softness of a selection edge. In other words, you can see automatically without even showing it to you, if the edge is wide and soft, you make a correction, it's going to blend gradually into the rest of the area. If the edge is very hard and you make a correction, there's going to be a very abrupt change right along a sharp line of the correction into the rest of the picture. Sometimes you want a sharp edge, sometimes you want a soft edge, and the way you do that is with feather. So let me demonstrate it. Here's an example right here. I made a circular selection, and I outlined the edge so you can see where the circle is right here. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And what I did is I made a series of saved selections. You can save any active selection by going to the Select menu, down to Load or Save. You see under here, Save is grayed out because I don't have an active selection. And then you can load it back up. Before I do that, I want to show you where feather actually appears to show you how important it is. Under the Marquee tools, the options give you a feather slider, both of them. Under the lasso tools, each tool can be adjusted the feather. There it is right there, all 3 of those. Under the selection brush, there is no feather directly because you're painting. We haven't dealt with that yet. The quick selection tool does not directly have feather, but if I do a quick selection like that, notice the refine edge box becomes active. If I use the magic wand and click that, again, refine edge. And you can get to the refine edge under the select menu as well. And when you click that, you have numerous options for adjusting your selection, and there's feather again. So feather appears almost everywhere. So let's go back to our blank selection, and I'm going to load up a selection of that circle with no feather at all. 0 pixels, very hard edge. It's right here. There's a series of selections, 0 pixels up to 100. There's 0. I load it. You see the crawling ants, which defines the center of the edge. If the edge is soft and wide, it's right in the middle. At 0 pixels, it's right on the edge. I can change this to a visible representation of a selection by making what's called a mask out of it. We do that with the selection brush, and now you see that selection as a black and white representation. The white circle is the active area. The black is the masked or protected area. And we'll take a look at the edge. And as you see, if I zoom it way up, you can see that it's just absolutely hard stair steps right down the pixels. That's 0 pixels of feather. It's just a very hard edge, as hard as you can get. 100% active inside the selecting area, 100% blocked and protected, and it's an instant transition from all correction to no correction right along the harsh edge. If we feather it, which means we soften the edge by the number of pixels that we feather. Let's start with loading a selection for 1 pixel of feather. Watch the edge and notice that it's softened the edge. I'll undo that and redo that. There's 0, there's 1 pixel. 1 pixel does a really great job of just cleaning the edge and making it nice and soft. As we come back down, you see there's 0, there's 1. It's just a nice edge. Now, photographs you'll rarely ever find. In graphics, you will find absolute harsh edges. In photographs, almost never. So as a matter of course, I suggest that you make a minimum feather of 1 for any selection for any use other than in graphics, just to soften and clean the edge. Now let's go further. Select, load selection 5 pixels of feather. Watch the selection. Notice it got softer. There's 1, there's 5. Now the transition from correction to protected area has a softer edge and it's beginning to blend. Let's go back to 1 and let's load up 20 pixels of feather. And there's 20. In other words, from right in the center of that selected area out to that edge is now 20 pixels, so it's a very gradual drop-off. Notice it's a circle. If I correct it in here, it's going to have a soft transition and blend with the outer area more. There's 1, there's 20. Go back to 1, and let's do one more. Let's go all the way to 100 pixels. And now you can see the center was right about there, and if you make a correction, it's just going to do a very, very soft and gradual blend into the rest of your picture. So you can either be using a harsh transition or a soft transition, whatever you need to accomplish the task depending upon the picture. So let's put that to practical use.